This is just Bob Bowman, and I'm coming at you with another video. The topic of this video is dealing with insecurities. Now, I'm going to be a little bit transparent here, not too transparent, but I'm going to talk about how I understand how insecurities have slowed me down and hindered me in life, and how I need to reevaluate the way that I think and change the way that I think in order for me to overcome those insecurities. Now, growing up in an urban community, so-called black community, myself, I had two black parents. I came out lighter than both of them. I look like both of them. And then I was growing up in a environment where poverty and violence and crime was prevalent. And I had to deal with, the insecurity of being poor and not being able to dress a certain way. There were times when we didn't have enough food in the house, and I'm not going to get into the details of what happened, and I'm not going to beat up on my parents because both of them did the best that they could with the knowledge that they had at the time. I grew up in a single parent household. But then I also had to deal with looking different than everybody else, not having the best physical appearance, not being able to speak well like other people speak. And I had to deal with some things growing up due to that, and then I went out of my way to try to fit in, try to get along with everybody, and failed miserably at that. And it took me until I was 38 years old to look myself in the mirror and to take accountability for my shortcomings, for my mistakes, and to make moves in order to overcome what it is that I did to myself. Because, how it is that I grew up and the environment that I grew up in was out of my control. But there were times, and there were plenty of times, where my reactions to that, it did more harm than it did good. And me reacting to it in such a negative way, it caused me to have a little bit more hardship and more trials and tribulations in my life. And then I think about the fact that I didn't full out my full term in the military, and I ended up with a disability. That's part of it. Me, when I was 16, picking up the blunt for the first time, smoking some weed, and how that hurt me in the long run. I think about my drinking habit and how that hurt me in the long run. Me getting married to someone that I knew I shouldn't have got married to, how that hurt me in the long run. Me not taking control and discipline over the man downstairs, if you know what I mean, how that hurt me in the long run. How I interacted with people, if I didn't interact with them correctly, how that hurt me in the long run. How I let the negativity of others affect me and how I felt about myself, how that hurt me in the long run. And I know that sometimes we grow up in environments where we have traumas and things that happen to us, and that builds up a lot of insecurities with us. But once we become adults, we can't use that as an excuse anymore. Like, we have to learn how to overcome those situations, even if it means you have to get help, like counseling, therapy, whatever you need to do in order to overcome those situations. Like, I go to counseling, and I have two separate counselors, and I've gotten consultations, and that's when I realized, like, man, I want to improve myself, but there's some deep rooted issues within me that I have to work on. And one of the main ones was my insecurities. Like, I have insecurities about a lot of stuff. Like, I'm insecure about how tall I am, how light I am. You know, even though I'm losing weight, I still have an insecurity about my weight and the way that I speak. A whole bunch of things. Like, some of the things are not out of my control, and I can do something about it, and I'm doing the work right now as we speak. But I have to learn how to accept myself for who I am, flaws and all, or perceived flaws and all. Because if I'm not accepted in an environment because of certain appearances, sometimes it might take me to get out of that environment to a different environment, to where somebody will see me and they will appreciate how it is that I appear. Especially if I keep myself groomed, if I keep myself clean, if I take care of my hygiene as best as possible. I keep my hair cut. I wear deodorant. I wear nice smelling colognes. I keep my feet and my hands manicured and pedicured. It's a lot of things that come into play with that. But when you're doing the best that you can and you're still not accepted in the environment, at that point, you have to take into consideration that you've done all you can. That environment isn't for you. Groups of people, if you do the best that you can and they can't really accept you for who you are, and I'm talking about 100%, those people are not for you. And it might hurt to have to cut those people off. It might hurt your feelings that you have to distance yourself. But in the long run, when you do that and you do the work on yourself and you build and you develop, you're going to have to just deal with the hardships of that, because life is always challenging. Like, it is challenging to be alone and to do a lot of things on your own. But once you get to that point to where you get used to it, you are taking ownership of your life, and insecurities will stifle you from being able to take ownership of your life. Insecurities will hurt any type of relationship that you're trying to build with other people, especially intimate relationships, especially if you want to start a family. Like, if you don't take care of those insecurities, you're going to fail. And I had to accept that that's part of the reason why I wasn't successful in relationships and getting the type of women that I wanted to get, is because I had certain insecurities, and because I allowed the harsh rejections of others to deeply impact the way that I felt about myself, because I already had negativity within me, and I had individuals that could sense that about me, and they would use that to their advantage. And even though I still have those insecurities, they know that I understand the psychological aspect of it all. So they don't try if they really get to know me, because they say, oh, we can't really, manipulate him the way that we want, or we can't get what it is that we want out of him. We might as well just leave it alone. And that's what it is. And I had to understand that even if I become successful with a lot of money, there's still going to be individuals that won't respect me. But I can't worry about that, because there's nothing I can do about it. Why am I letting that make me insecure? Why am I allowing the actions of others to make me feel insecure about myself? If they don't want to be around me, so be it. If I have a hard time getting the type of women that I desire here, maybe it's time for me to shift my focus elsewhere, and to understand that life isn't all about just who you lay up with, regardless of what I was taught when I was growing up in the urban environment where I was growing up in, because now I'm older and I understand a lot of that stuff that I learned was very negative, and that's because that environment was negative. So it's time for me to be positive on myself, and not and that's not making an excuse for myself. I still need to get out there. I still need to socialize and get to know people, and look at human beings, whether I'm attracted to them or if I'm not. They're still human beings, and they still deserve respect as long as they're giving me respect. And I'm at this point to where I have to understand that my insecurities have limited me on the progress that I can make, and I'm doing something about it. And then I understand that in the past, my insecurities made me treat others harshly because they didn't fit my standards of what beauty or what social standings that I think that people should make or be at. And because I was because I faced a lot of prejudices, I developed a lot of prejudices. And I'm getting to this point to where even if I don't like or desire to be around a person, I can still respect them even if it's from a distance. That's where I'm at. But I'm still going to have my boundaries. No means no. Yes means yes. That's it. Maybe. Who knows? That means maybe, possibly. But it's not 100% guarantee yes, and it's not 100% guarantee no. If somebody says a maybe is a no or maybe is a yes, they have to use their discretion to see which one is which. But with that being said, this is just Bob Bowman. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And also, please leave a comment. And I'm out.